So, Vikram, is there still a Vikram inside this body and inside the so-called mind?
It appears so, yeah.
What a bummer.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there is a sense, there's a feeling or a flavor of meanness, which is identified as Vikram. And there is actually no way to know clearly if it's a constant thing, because even if it changes, it always will, this is Vikram. But there's a sort of a trick inside it which makes it feel like it's actually continuously the same. But obviously, it can't be the same, because even if that meanness was Vikram, that meanness has different moods, different flavors, different preferences, even like depending on the day and the time. So it's strange that it should be interpreted as a constant thing, you
So
know?
would it not be a kind of optical illusion that there is a kind of superposition of two information, an information that's believed that there must be a Vikram somewhere around, and it must be happening in this manifestation as a body, as a mind, as a soul, as a whatever you name it, and this other information that's there all the time, which is very intimate and that says, I am.
So clearly, there is a I am, which is more easier to sort of acknowledge. But the other thing you said, that
But
where
wait. It's more easy to acknowledge why there would be even a slight less
it's
element
obvious. I mean,
doubt about I am.
no,
Can
no,
you
sorry,
can you
yeah,
explain
no,
me that?
no. Let me rephrase that. I think it's obvious that I am, because it's undeniable.
Okay.
Let's put it like that. It is obvious. It's like it's there in the experience. It's
I
anytime
am.
you check, it's
And this evidence of I am, is it changing sometime to going in a different flavor, a different novel flavor? When you were 10 years old, 15, 20, 25, 30, was it a different I am? Or if you go to this exact same alive obviousness, alive, it's not really an experience because it cannot really be labeled as an experience because there is no definition of what it is. It is here, right now, just here, and this thing has never changed over all these years. If you go around,
yeah. So that so what happens is, I think there is a something very closely tied to it, some other more substance around it, like with it, which is simultaneously experienced with the I am, like more like characteristics of personality and all
yeah,
that, and that uh, which is where's the boundary of the personality and where's the boundary of I am. I think that is not clear. So maybe that's why it's perpetuating as
yes.
a more,
Can I
yeah,
make a proposition here?
sure.
That anything that can be defined, anything that has a shape, a color, anything, the definition has a start, has a stop, um, is an object. It's not a subject. And that I am, that has no shape. No, you cannot say I am is 20 meter wide or 1 kilometer wide or 1 centimeter. You cannot say even it lasts in time. It's ever present. It's not engaged in time because um, to define time, you need to have a change of events. It's a measurement between two events, but there is no events in I am. It's always there. Without I am, nothing is. There is no possibility of anything to happen. So this I am is not in time, not in space. And this so-called Vikram as a body, a mind, whatever you call it, emotions, is full of definition, starting point, stopping point, appearances, disappearances, and in my book, all these everything is an object. Is many objects actually that create a dance, and the dance seem to suggest that there is an entity there, that there is a person, that there is a separate being that lives within these objects. But my discovery and the discovery of non-duality is that there is none of that. There is just the dance. There is nobody dancing it.
So why am I not seeing that? Like, even though I feel what you're describing is something that I've seen very clearly, or very clearly has been experienced. Like, why can't I see it now? Like, something is like a link to that, to seeing this, what you just mentioned, and the sort of the regular experience where there is a person involved. These two, the link bridge is not seen. How the transition happens. I think there, if there's some sort of transition, right? Because that has been experienced. So I have no problem accepting what you're saying. Like, it seems like, yeah, fine. I have verifiable evidence in my own experience in the past.
Then why not in the present? You say in the past.
Exactly,
why
yes.
not in the present? But
Yes, why not in the present?
But that's the question I'm sending back to you, Vikram, because I'm not the one putting, I would say, beliefs to describe a story where the two are joined together. Because to join these two stories, the story of Vikram as a dance of several informations, of objects, of sensation, of emotions, of thoughts, is one end, and the other end is this pure presence, this pure knowingness, and to join them, as you call, when you do this thing like that, you need to introduce elements of beliefs, supposition, that cannot be verified, that are just there because it's a habit. I agree, but they are not verified. They cannot be verified. If you give me an example of how it's joined in your own experience and with a proof of it, I would join your club. I swear it. But I've been, in this thing for many years and met hundreds of people, and nobody ever, when asked, brought any even beginning of a proof of this connection.
So then how does it transition from a clear understanding of this and experience of this to something like a personalized experience? There has to be a transition point, isn't it, sort of?
The transition point is not the thing to understand. It's not related really to Vikram. It's always the thing. It's not Vikram waking up. Vikram is just a dance. Vikram is a nice label within a landscape that says this part of the dance within the whole landscape, this room, this computer, the anything that happens when there is a shift of point of view, outside, in Dubai, in Goa, whatever. Everything there is a dance, and there is a subset that's called Vikram. That's some hands, some legs, some thoughts, and they are loudly put together with a label saying this is me, and that's the label that is the. It's okay. It's practical. I mean, if you order a pizza, you better say yes. The pizza is for me, because otherwise you're a bit in trouble to get your pizza one day. But outside of the practicality of this labeling, is there really a Vikram that lives inside this or part, or is the sum of the parts or something like that? That's really the exploration to be done at the core, at the root, to discover that actually it has always been a pure supposition, a pure habit, a pure belief system, and then there is no single shred of proof ever for to support this belief. And when
which
this
belief? To support which belief?
The belief of separation, of existing separately as a Vikram within the story of life.
Yeah, it's a belief based on the nature of the experience.
Yeah, okay. But I agree, and that should be the case always. But the thing is that there is some information given by the experience that we share, Vikram, you and me, and we have the same experience, you and me. Okay, but on one side of the story, the let's say the Vikram angle, this same information is assembled in a different way, which is supported by no reason. It's totally it's irrational, totally irrational, and it creates a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, but what I call suffering. And on the other side of the story, another angle, we call Didier, the same information. There is a computer, there is a room, there is a body, there is mind, I mean, at least thoughts. There is the same elements there, but they are not at all assembled the same way because this habit just got totally disintegrated, got annihilated, and it's even worse than that. It's the habit, yes, got lost, but the habit was based on something that never really existed. It's not that there was a mutation, a change in Didier's life. The only mutation is the disappearance of something that doesn't exist. So nothing changes actually. A dream disappears, but not the reality goes on. There is still street, computers, friends, and work and fun, and there is no difference with Vikram's experiences except a process that was there in the background that was using a lot of CPU power and memory power and stuff like that, stopped working. Just stopped in the track, totally. And what remains is a lot of space, a lot of headroom, a lot of the noise floor is super low. I get 120 dB more plus silence the noise floor, and because this stupid process, which was a kind of bug, like a process looping itself all the time, that used all the bandwidth, doesn't appear anymore. And that's the only thing I'm talking about. And there is nothing else. You can take all the books about non-duality for sure, but spirituality at the core, they talk only about that. There is nothing else to talk about it. So it may feel for Vikram that it is an experience of silence, for example, experience of stopping this activity. But in my books, in my view, it's the opposite. It's the absence of the experience of Vikram. It's the full stop of the process called Vikramming.
So what do you mean by Vikram here? Because I would understand like your tastes and your preferences would still be there.
Yes,
right?
very much. This is exactly what's happening now. It's Vikramming only, but there is right now there is only Vikramming happening as a process, as a function, and that's natural. The Vikramming I'm talking about that is optional is the filling up this story with a Vikram as a soul, as a little entity inside the brain, inside the heart, or whatever you call it, saying, well, there is a Vikram that is there, that is the controller and the perceiver of all what happens, like Men in Black with the little control joysticks, and that's what I am. And I'm telling you, what you are has nothing to do with this body, nothing to do with this mind, nothing to do with anything related to that. Is it not that simple? I mean, What is complicated about that? That this is not that natural, that obvious, that there's, the thing is that you can avoid the topic by spending a whole life doing complicated supputation and
Gymnastics.
gymnastics based on philosophy, on what's called spirituality and all that. But it's just it's not really required actually.
Wow. Like everything else other than this, like, yeah.
Yeah.
But it seems like there are so many sort of subtler layers of this belief system. Like even when what you're saying, I could feel that it's resonating powerfully, and then there seems to be like some sort of attempt to internalize that even, which again is like also part of the appearance only, like
Yes.
somehow.
Yeah. There is an endless possibility for Maya to reappear somewhere, as a more and more subtle being within the story. That's going to be even more difficult to track and to make disappear. The thing is that there is no rule about it, but anything that has a start and has a stop. So even every understanding from the mind itself is not it. So it's what I'm pointing at is something that remains when all understanding are gone. That when the all non-dual blah blah is forgotten, when there is no more concepts, when there is no more need of any support or text or guru or whatever, what is there that remains at all time?
I think the trouble is in accepting fully that the like what you said is what is there all the time, or the background, or to accept that that is actually me and not this appearance of Vikram, who has his responsibilities and who has his tasks to do for the day. And
I agree,
know.
but do you see deeply that it's still not rational at all? Because this I am can be verified at all time to exist before anything else can appear.
That's true.
So it's there all the time, and it's also feel very intimate. It doesn't feel like somebody else or something or an object or something. It feels very the subject, that which I am, or that I am, and so there is a lot of proof, concrete, practical proof that can be checked right now, not in 20 years, not after 10 years of satsang or zazen or whatever. Just now, very concretely, very practically. And on the other hand, the so-called Vikram existing as an entity living within the body of Vikram can never be found, and it's all based on belief and supposition. And if I asked you to extract some proof, you would be totally powerless for that. And still, this stupid habit, like the habit of, I don't know, let's say you have a weird habit of putting your hand into the fire when you want to cook some eggs, just as a kind of OCD. When does it stop? It's when it's totally clear and totally seen that it's one optional, and two that is harmful. Actually, that it's not something that is bringing any peace or any help. in daily life. So when it's seen to be optional and harmful, the process stops. That's the only way. But unless it's still a kind of there's still a feeling that yeah, but it's cool, it's practical, it's required, it's or even worse than that. It's something that I believe my whole life. It's like this Vikram, supposed Vikram existing by himself, is like a dear friend. And there is a feeling of a loss if I let it go, if this idea is gone, because it's just an idea. But it feels not like an idea, it feels like a real somebody who is going to disappear or to die or to be out of our life. And there is a sense of grief. Sense of a feeling of a loss that is far greater than what we expected in the first place in this search.
Mm. Yes, I think the evidence for the I am is obviously much higher than the other, but it's just so bizarre that it's not like somehow I feel it's not fully like acknowledged, or even though it's so much more. Like I have actually, even if I struggle, I cannot find any concrete evidence for the reality of the appearances. But only by using other elements in the appearance can I actually establish the reality. But that itself is relative. So,
yeah.
But it's so.
So what's the divine writing that forces you to go on doing stupid things?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what it is. Like it's just maybe the harm is not fully seen of it.
Yes, but very true, very true.
You know.
On one hand, the harm is not fully seen, and on the other hand, it feels that what you expect is to go to more existence, more wholeness, and this loss is not going into the proper direction, it seems, apparently. Because you're losing something.
Mm. Can we speak about the harm it causes a little bit?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me?
Well, the harm is directly has been very documented by Ramesh over the years with the essentially what he was calling the suffering, which is not the pain, not the alternance of pleasure and pain, but the real suffering part, which is, well, he had a list that was also evolving with time, and it's much more than that. But everything that is self-referral, that presupposes a control center that I call me, is creating a lot of harm. And typically it can be named as guilt, shame, envy,
okay.
pride, etc. I mean, and then you have all the worries about me, what's going to happen to me, etc. So this supposition, this core supposition, is carrying a lot of side effects.
Load,
yeah.
A lot of weight, yeah, okay. Yeah, of course. So it's not like this me is dismantled by some deeper me. It's just that the me is dismantled itself, or something like that.
Well, that the me he's recognized as being just a concept, a labeling of a set of information, namely some perception, some touch, some color, some smell, some whatever you name it, including a few thoughts and emotions, and then there is a kind of lasso, like when you do ensemble in mathematical class, you just this is a subset of the whole, and that subset by itself is not really harmful. It's practical and it's okay. You do a subset around the cat, around the so you don't step on the cat, and then you have the carpet, which is another suspect. Then you can step on the carpet. Then the story is informed with the proper relation between elements that appear and disappear. Okay, so that's fine. But one of the subset, which is not the cat, which is not the carpet, which is some elements that we call a body and a so-called a mind, there is certainly a different hierarchy, saying this is much higher level. Okay, maybe in terms of quantity and refinement, it's true, but that's all. There is no higher purpose or higher reason to believe that there is something special there. There is no me, no separate existence with myself inside in this subset compared to anything else, all the other subsets. They are all at the same level. They are all perceptions. They are all objects that arise and subside in as whatever I am.
So recognizing that the I am is the only fundamental thing, and the rest is appearance, is the way this is how this controller sort of gets dismantled. Is what
Correct.
you're saying?
Yeah. It's still not the end of the search, but it's a big part of it. It's a waking up process that says it's the neti-neti of the tradition that says, no, I'm not this, I'm not that. So there is at some point the evidence that whatever I thought I was, I'm not, and this I am. But there is still at that stage a very subtle feeling of a duality between that which I am, that which knows, and that which is known. The manifestation, these so-called objects, these so-called bodies, these so-called thoughts, so there is a kind of a subtle duality that's still there, and the proposition here is that going through that process allows at some point to realize that now that the house is in order, in a way that objects are in their place of objects, and the subject is at its place of subject, there is a possibility to recognize that the objects are made of the unique matter
Subject.
of the subject.
Yes.
So it's like again I go back to the clay and the pot. The pot doesn't exist separately from the clay. The clay is informing and informing the pot, and without clay there will be just nothing, and the pot can have any shape. It doesn't prevent the clay to be clay, and that's the ultimate, I would say, step, saying that from I am no thing, nothing, but not nothing, no things, to realize that I am everything, because everything that appears is that I am. That's typically Nisargadatta Maharaja's formulation.
Yeah, so this also, I feel, I'm pretty confident that I've had direct experience of this as well, like where I am everything, nothing, and just a certain quietness in which all of this understanding is alive in itself.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
But
It is. It is actually it is appearing in many cases, even when there is no real search or real work
Yes.
on that, because just life is stopping this specific Vikramming process.
But only short time.
Short times in between things, like when washing dishes, when riding a car, when being idle in some situations and all that. There is no more requirement to self-sustain this idea of a separate me, and then life is just happening. And obviously, while listening music, while watching a movie, while doing stuff like that, it can also very much be possible. So this is the natural state, and anything that happens in between is an experience. What I'm describing is not an experience. It's what we are, what there is, without this dream being alive. This dream being the agent to separate two parts, me and the rest, inside and outside, and stuff like that.
So this understanding will come and go. Is that how it is? Like
the understanding is not coming and going. What is coming and going is Vikram.
The thing is, when it understanding does happen, it's so extremely powerful and like revolutionary, right?
Yeah.
Then it seems surprising that after seeing it, it's like full magnificence and glory, like like this. So it's like mind blowing, literally.
Yeah.
Even even if it's for a few hours, it's like just literally like blows apart everything, and like all that you just said. But then it's so ridiculous that it can come becoming, and these ideas of me and all dualship, it can come back again. It's something doesn't make sense actually, but it's still happening.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a mystery how it can reconstruct itself. It's the power of Maya. It's the power of the. But it's not surprising. Also, Vikram, if you look at the millions, billions of reinsurance of this separate state as a me, as a good me, as a good whatever, good at my job, not bad, and all the judgment that created this person that had all the qualification or not, or failure or whatever. I mean, all this story around me has been reinforced a whole lifetime. So we are talking about a very, very deep programming there. It's not like some suggestion, lightly. It is the core programming of our system, of this story actually, and to go over it. On one side, it's extremely simple because it's the mechanism is simple, but on the other hand, it's been so deeply embedded that it's kind of it's like zombies reappearing. Every time you think it's dead, it comes back like out of the grave again, and Vikramming is starting again.
Maybe more time needs to be invested in a day, like to look at this thing. I feel
Yes.
like that's probably what it is.
I agree totally. Well, Ramesh was talking about this, this clay analogy when he was having this lunch with Wayne Liquorman, having this potato in clay. The clay it's cooked with the clay, and there is a tapping. You don't have a fork and a knife. You have a small hammer, and you tap around the clay to get it cracked open, so you can have access to the potato inside, or whatever is inside. I don't know. I'm sure. And then the tapping is happening, and then you it might not even have a result, but without tapping, there will be no crack. And at some point, there is a crack, and the whole thing rips apart. And when it happens, nobody knows. So I think we should leave it that way today. Just to not to go into too many questions and concepts and stuff that's going to go into side the story. We don't care about that. What's the core concern here, and that's what to be explored and to be seen so deeply that, as I said, the harm is seen in full view, and the optional aspect, that's the second aspect. The optional aspect is also seen in the full view, that says, would it change anything if this concept, if this idea of a separate me disappears? What would change? Because that's also a fear, Vikram. If though the harm is seen, there is a kind of feeling, well, without that concept, my life is going to be really messed up.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, yes. I think so.
but
But this
but
is very like hidden, like this one
correct,
for me
correct,
at
yeah.
least. Yeah,
But
yeah.
look at that in the eyes also very deeply,
Mm,
and see that it's just if something that doesn't really exist disappear, nothing changes.
mm.